All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I am back up and running. For those of you who are looking at my saga on LinkedIn, I always I've been telling people lately that it's all about like offering up your own warranties for PCs and stuff right now. And then because PCs never die, they're just pretty bulletproof these days. And lo and behold, my motherboard fried.
Yeah.
So that's just karma getting me, people. And I haven't rebuilt a PC in a very long time. I used to be the go-to guy, and this time it was just a big fat nope. Motherboard is dead. And while you're at it, why don't you just upgrade your processor, RAM, and GPU?
All good, man.
So it was an expensive day yesterday, and we got everything put up and going. And now I'm shiny again. I can see things. It's amazing. You upgrade your PC and like nothing's really different. I don't get anything extra out of my computer right now.
Yeah.
Right. It just works the same way it did before, except for now my USB ports don't fail so often. And it got me thinking, like, this is kind of how your customers feel, right? Oh, I have to spend $1,800 to upgrade my PC. What do I get out of this? A new
Yeah.
PC.
That's something that we were talking about with one of our members just yesterday. And, as we've talked so many times about providing the business value, and there are a lot of things that works out really well for, but I just want to go ahead and let everybody know, we do know that there are some of them that it is a bit more challenging. And that's kind of reinforces the idea even more so, I think. But the Windows 10 to Windows 11 upgrade, right? So how do you show the value for that, right? There's the fear, uncertainty, and doubt if you don't do it, but what is the positive elements if you do?
Yeah.
And for some businesses, it's really hard to pin those down. So, just in general, it's not an absolute rule, but it certainly does make those projects that you do get the business value clearly defined for your client. It makes those so much more important because they're so much more impactful to your clients. So,
Yeah.
anyway,
That's just kind of where you need to be like, okay, what can you now do that you have Windows 11?
Yeah.
What is the customer going to see? Like, oh, well, you're going to be able to, and then list out things that they care about. Like, they're not
Yeah.
going to care about BitLocker. They're not going to care about TPM or anything like that. What they're going to care about is, oh, you can now run this many monitors. I don't even know the difference between Windows 10 and Windows 11. I just do the upgrade.
So actually, I've been
The
updating
start button's going to be in the middle.
I've been updating our templates lately, and I've got a new one out there for the Windows 10 to 11 migration. And if you guys have some really good, snazzy, very interesting or client engaging elements, let me know. I'd love to put some more. I pulled some stuff off Microsoft.
GPT. I'm sure ChatGPT will tell you.
And that's why I went there too. And so I got some decent stuff, but there's nothing like some of the real world examples that people find and like,
Yeah.
you can do this now. And so anyway, if you have any of those, please send them to me. I'd love to make those part of our templates.
Yeah, definitely. And so this time you're right. I was watching Skip's little broadcast last week, and you're right. This is the time of year where you need to be talking about schools and government.
Mhm.
Just to kind of segue over here, like the schools and government entities tend to be frowned upon by a lot of people, and it's because they never buy, they're cheap, they're disorganized. And what I have found is that that's completely wrong.
Yeah.
You're just not lining up with their expectations. They run on a different schedule in a different world.
Yep.
And so I like to remind people at this time of year, government entities are trying to build their budgets. A lot of them have to have their budget in before June to get approved by city council or to get approved by the first line of approvals. And you need to be in there now with your expenses so they can say, oh yeah, next year we want to be able to run AI in our business. Or next year, we want to be able to use fiber cable at the office so that we can have higher speed for more streaming, for Zoom calls and stuff like that. Whatever the problem is, you have to present it now, not in December, not in October, which are our usual like go-tos.
Mm-hmm.
If you go in October and December, you're going to get there and be like, hey, we need to do this next year. And they're going to look at their budget and be like,
yeah, that's exactly.
And this is all dependent on if they're a fiscal year or if they're a calendar year. And so you got to kind of ask these government, especially government contractors. Let's say you're just servicing government contractors, people who rely on the government for business.
Yes. Yeah.
You need to say, hey, look, let's get these lined up, these projects lined up, because we know that they're going to get their money on the same fiscal year as the government. So be aware that right now, if you've got a government-based contractor you're servicing, or a government entity itself, like the city, or somewhere you're doing some co-managed work with, today, like April, May, is when you need to have your asks in. You need to have your spreadsheet with what you want to do in 2026. I know it's annoying, but those entities are also very loyal. They don't like to go through the RFP process all the time because it's a lot of paperwork.
Right. And understanding who, the organizations are and how their bidding and, purchasing processes are conducted is really important. And having those conversations now is going to help you, because if they want to work with you, they can typically find ways to make that happen. All right. Sometimes it's the way you structure the bid or the type of service it's submitted on. I will say, if you're just going out and saying, hey, this entity needs X number of new workstations, all right, and that's the only thing in the bid, then yes, it is going to be a dollar-based element. And if you're not willing to shave down to the smallest amount possible, then no, you're probably not going to get that bid. All right, that's the race to the bottom in that area. But there's so many other things that can go into that. Maybe you help them put those RFPs together so they can go out to some big organization who's just selling for fractions of margin points, and you get to bill the services that you're doing to help them do that as a consulting, which is drastically higher margin. So really good ways to get in on those deals.
Yeah. And this is not unique just to the government area. There's a lot of different entities that have these specialized nuances to the industry. And I'm lumping in education here with this, because education has some nuances to it too, where if you don't observe them, you're going to end up getting really terrible revenue when there is a lot to be had. Like, for instance, schools, as many have heard me say many times, is schools do not work on a monthly budget. They are really awful with that, especially private schools. You want to talk to them in terms of lump sums of money. Hey, they may not be able to come up with 2,000 MRR. Do you know what they could come up with? $100,000 payment.
Yep.
And you're missing out on so much by not thinking in terms of project revenue when it comes to schools, because that's how they see their budgets. They have their operational budget that kind of keeps lights on. They kind of have those things going, and that thing is tight. It is really, really thin. They are very frugal. All nonprofits are. However, if you say, hey, we can do a VR classroom, or we can make you a builder lab, it's going to cost about $100,000 once we get the 3D printer set up with several workstations that can go to it, and another maker space. And it'll cost us about $20,000 to set this up and train your staff on it. They'd be like, oh my gosh, we could have a maker lab in our school? Like, yeah, we can help you create that. Any IT guy can help make a maker lab. You guys do it in your basement all the time. It's not rocket science. It's something fun to actually do. These schools don't know how to do them. they're kind of flying by the seat of their pants, and they'll get a donation for a 3D printer because one of the teachers really likes 3D printing and they want to do some kind of lab. You can do the same thing with your schools, but you have to ask now. In fact, you've already missed one window. One of the windows happens in March. A lot of entities will do their the foundations will do their push in March, where they're saying, "Hey, how much money do you need?" And we're going to review it, and then we'll release, $150,000. Maybe this foundation's focus this year is they're always doing education, but this year they really want to focus on teaching kids AI, or they want to really focus on giving private schools an advantage in the maker space. And if that's the case, you can write your proposal like, "Oh yeah, let's focus on that with our ask for our school." But you've got to help your client get there.
No.
And if you look at some of these smaller private schools, like let's say Lutheran schools, like I have a big heart for Lutheran private schools. Very, very nerdy stuff. But there's like 5 of them in Lincoln here. It doesn't seem like a big market. Guess how many there are in the state? There's like 126 in the entire state, and they act like a school district. So when they do their asks from these foundations, they're not asking for Chromebooks just for their school. There will be one representative that will ask for a grant to give schools in the entire state Chromebooks. So you're selling thousands and thousands of devices all at once, and then it's on you to figure out the logistics. you know, and that's okay. Maybe you ship them out, maybe they're pre-built. That's problems for an MSP, but you won't.
And that's where your value add gets to come in. If they're looking at that, and yes, they've got contacts with some sort of national distributor, and they can get X number of Chromebooks just delivered in a giant pallet to one location, rolls off a big truck, and then they're left wondering, okay, what do we do with this big pallet of stuff, right? And that's going to be the lowest cost competitor bid, right? But yours can be much different, and maybe again, maybe you roll more services in, or you help them get that lowest cost one, and you're the one that goes and picks up that pallet and begins to do something with it, because the school district doesn't really have the resources to do that. So you can solve those problems for them. But back to your example earlier about, they don't do things monthly, and that is true. And trying to go in there and sell, say, a $2,000 a month contract is really, really hard. They're not built for that. But this is where the extra margin comes in as well. You might have a really, really hard time selling a $2,000 a month contract, but you could probably sell significantly easier a 3-year, $100,000 contract that does the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And it makes it overcomes so many of their obstacles. They're happy to do that because you're working within their system. If they try to do it the monthly way, they simply might not be able to do it. But in your creative ways, where you sit down and work with them during this time period, to get these things done, they're very excited that they know that now they can do this. And yes, they can do the math. If they could pay for it monthly, they would get it cheaper, right? But they couldn't do that, so they don't get it at all. So they're happy to get it from you at the price that it is, because the alternative is nothing. So you're setting yourself up for a really win-win situation.
Yeah, and you have to be patient as well. This isn't something that's going to sell in a month. And I know a lot of you are like, I need money now. I need to fix this, like this runway shortage I have, or the operational shortage I have. And I get that. But you think in terms of like this project might take 18 months to build and resolve, but knowing that it's going to be a $500,000 project. Like, know that you're going into it, and you're starting with one school, or you're starting with one government entity. Yes, they are slow moving. They have a slow cycle, but you do this every year, And now guess what? You've got these big projects coming in every year, and people know they can come to your company and solve problems for schools. They can do in school initiatives because they know you understand the system. You know how to work with the foundation or the board. And that is where a lot of you are missing out on these niche services because you're treating everybody like a flower shop. You're treating everybody like a restaurant, and they don't work the same. MRR is great, but it's not the everything. If a lot of you who are like 1-2 man shops out there right now could be doing massive Chromebook rollouts, you could be doing large scale Wi-Fi deployment for schools if you would just ask. Go to that small private school and say, hey, look, how are things going with your Wi-Fi here? How are things going at your school? Do a SWOT exercise, right?
Yeah.
I'm running a masterclass next week on SWOT exercises. If you haven't joined it yet, if you have not signed up and paid for the class yet, go get it. I'll post. I've been posting it all week on LinkedIn, and use a SWOT exercise to get in the door to do an education technology alignment session. And all you're going to do is walk in there with their teachers and say, hey, look, if your teachers would like to do a session, like next time you have like an in-service day, I'd love to have an hour where we run through a technology alignment session. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to sit down and we're going to discuss how are you using technology in the school and how would you like to use technology in the school. And then we're going to write out a SWOT exercise. And at the end, you get it. You get the SWOT exercise. And you're going to hand it to the school, and they get to know what their shortcomings are, where their strengths, weaknesses, and their opportunities for growth are. But they're going to turn back to you.
Yes.
And you're going to say, oh my gosh, you guys aren't using this in classrooms? Hey, why don't we just go ahead and do that? Would your foundation, do you have more schools in your grouping that we can work with? Like, oh yeah, there's about 120 of us in total. We're kind of loosely based. They're like, well, let's do a big ask. We can get you some cheaper versions of this because we can do a larger purchase and create a purchasing group. You guys all know what that means. Create a purchasing group. And we're going to go to what's your foundation? What the foundations are doing. It's like, oh, largely it's the Dunclow Foundation. Okay, we're going to go to them and we're going to prepare this so that they know that, hey, for $250,000, we're going to put smart boards or whatever in every classroom that helps students learn better and get an advantage in elementary schools or high schools. But you have to go in for the first session of, hey, next in-service day, I'm happy to come in and run a technology alignment session workshop for your teachers.
Yep.
And you just watch it happen.
And those are so easy to do. Yes. And there's no cost to those, right? So prep time is, I don't know, brush your teeth, comb your hair if you've got it. I mean, there's just not much that has to go into getting ready for those engagements. So they're just fantastic opportunities, and the payoff is just, sometimes, beyond what you could imagine.
Yeah. They keep getting bigger because you're pointing out issues that they already have that they didn't know there are problems to or answers to. And what's fun about these, I've run these, a lot of them. I can, as Skip said, I can walk in point blank and do a SWOT strategy session for pretty much anybody. Not knowing anything about the business with zero prep time. Just give me my marker and give me my board. And what happens there is the room are the experts. All you're doing is writing things down. You're facilitating a meeting using the SWOT structure. You can fill an hour. You could fill 4 hours with just one topic where all these teachers are going to talk about what's going on in their school. Where are they at? How are they doing things? Why aren't we doing it this way? What are the pain points? Why don't they like doing online testing? All these things start coming up, and you are an engineer. You know how to solve problems, and you will solve problems. And that is how these work. And then eventually you're going to be like, crap, no one else is tapping this Catholic school market. The Catholics usually are taken care of. But like the Lutherans, the independent academies, the different schools in the area, just offer up, like, I'm willing to come here and help you build a better education strategy session for your teachers. I want to help your teachers be better equipped in the classrooms. because they'll go to these large teacher conferences as well, and they'll invite you to them.
Yes.
Like, hey, Skip came to our school and talked about this thing. He's going to come and talk about this at the conference for the region. And now you've got multi-state presence.
Mm-hmm.
These people are loyal, and they love the fact that you're a niche and you're serving and solving a problem that they have.
Yep.
And I want you guys to focus on that, because April is the time. You should almost hit March. We should almost move this session back to March, because you really need your clients to know that you're aligning with their style of business. And that's how you become successful as a niche.
Yeah.
So, other news, things have been going really well here at Humanize IT. We've got some bug fixes that are going out this week.
Yeah.
That have been asked for some of you with ITCQ scores. We've got some major dev coming up here over the next 8 weeks. So we're reorganizing a couple of the release windows, because a lot of you are very interested in a couple of the RMM agents we have. And then next week, we're going to be talking about how to find end-of-life assets and like Windows 10 PCs in your inventory automatically. So no more scanning through spreadsheets, no more looking at all your endpoints, trying to figure out where your Windows 10 PCs are. Nope, they're just there, and they're on the budget roadmap, and they're ready to go.
There we go.
So that'll be with the Ninja next Wednesday, and then next Tuesday is a SWAT workshop. It is a paid workshop, so you pay to come. The idea there was we wanted to bring high-level education to people who don't want to go to conferences. That's the goal here. If these go well, we will work with vendors to offer more of these, where we bring in high-level speakers, people who are experts in areas like organizational behavior or development, things that you would only normally get at a conference. We're going to bring it virtually to you. So either you can go in person or online and learn about things that are going to help your MSP. But other than that, it's April, guys.
There you go.
Time to get through the month. We're almost at the end of the school year. We're here to summer. More change windows coming. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us, and we're happy to help you with anything you got.
Awesome.
Thank you.